Hello again.
You.
Wow,
You.
please let me in.
I was thinking you forgot.
Nah,
Me.
nah, I was just moving around my MS Teams because,
Okay,
like,
okay.
yeah.
I'm waiting for like the 15 minutes Facebook post so that I can share it. And wait, I'll move my bevy here.
You don't have the option to share screen, right? Or like mute all.
Let me see. Yeah, no, I don't.
Let's go.
LFG. No power. Okay. I don't know. I was searching this up. Okay. Mary Modesto. Slay. Okay, not that one. Okay, Slay. Oh, it can still go on. Damn, did not know that. Alright, let me X that. I'm your biggest fan. I follow you until you love me. Papa, paparazzi. You know, I've been like checking Isthmus like every single moment I think about it.
Hmm.
And I do not know if this has become my unhealthy obsession or not. Because realistically, right, Mampenia's probably asleep at this time. She's not going to post grades. Realistically. But she's probably the first programming teacher or first DSA teacher who's going to post grades. Mm.
Also, the thing I like about the MS Teams recording is it has transcript.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let me point out where you swore. I have the receipts.
Hello, Nucleus. Okay. Evening, Nucleus.
Where you writing that?
Oh, I need to do
And
like,
Discord.
yeah, brewing vanilla websites. The brewing vanilla websites.
Damn, Shane is always so early.
I know, right?
So it feels so much better when there are people in the audience that you actually know.
Yeah, because like if ever anything fails, interaction fails, you could always just call them out. Just kind of mean like day 2 of brewing vanilla webs. Day 2 of the brewing vanilla websites workshop event. Workshop
Workshop.
will now be starting in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Please check your emails for the link. Is that fine? Like evening nooglers, day 2 of brewing vanilla websites work. Day 2 of the brewing vanilla websites workshop will now be starting in 15 minutes. Please check your emails for the link. Please check your SC emails for the link. Okay, I'm gonna check Facebook side. If wala pa, then I'm gonna post this. Okay. Ooh, send messenger. Uh, BS, CS, computer science. There you go. Computer.
Dang.
Okay.
Oh,
I want access to like the VSCS third years and like fourth years GC. I could like post these things, but like I don't know like if that's an okay thing to ask, to be honest. I'll ask Joss. There you go. Mm.
wait, I'll be right back.
Okay. Sure.
My hair like blends in perfectly to the.
Wait, I'm gonna get my lip balm. I don't know where it is, but my lips are feeling dry.
Chocolate coffee.
Man, I guess I'm the only one who's gonna do the check-in today. That's fine. It's not too bad. Brother, can you heart my post, please?
What post? Oh,
Yeah.
in the Freshies GC.
Mm-hmm. Both, please.
I was about to say I got a thumbs down, but wait, I'm the one. I'm
Oh,
the post is talking about.
yeah, you're exactly. It's
Friendly
for
fire.
you.
Kind of cool that we still post like right before the event. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the benefit of that is, but then
Yeah.
I guess if people see it on their feed like last minute, then they can just join.
Yeah. That and like just a reminder because sometimes people forget.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
I know because like I'm one of the people who forget, but from experience. Wait, let me see if they're winning. True. Oh, okay. They definitely lost. Yeah, because the lives. Wait, is it? Uh, holy shit! Yeah. No. Okay, they
They
lost
lost.
it. They lost. Holy shit. Okay, it's fine. Wait, no, it's recorded. Holy shoot.
Fine. I'll just cut it out.
Okay. Please
Or we
don't
can
send.
add this in bloopers. You know.
No. Please don't send it to Microsoft. I'm a good person. I swear.
Oh, what is this bubble? Whoa, what was that?
Hmm?
There's like a bubble emoji that just popped up on your screen.
Really?
Not
Oh,
that
that's
one.
so cute. Wait, let me. Can you see that?
Yeah. Whoa, it's so animated.
That's cute. It's so much better than Google's.
Yeah, keep saying that while we're on this team.
Shut up. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Like like I think this platform's better than Google. Please don't cut that out.
Wait, before you enter the call, could you set your nickname?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can
Should
you
I? Oh, okay.
hold
What's
up?
the
Um. Okay, wait. I'll type it in the GC. Wait.
key? What's the format?
Hold up.
Role and the name.
Okay.
Key.
I will leave the call.
Me too. Okay. Wait, you're muted, brother.
I knew that. But yeah, I can't set my own nickname.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
like when I enter the call, it doesn't give me the option to.
Maybe it's for the attendees, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. MS Teams.
Yeah. CTO, Brian.
It's stuff like this. Like there's some behaviors in MS Teams that I feel like are just common sense to have, but then they don't have them.
Mhm.
But then also
Yeah.
has like other cool stuff that other platforms should use.
I feel like all platforms have cons. Yeah, there's no one good platform.
They're all bad.
Like for Google Meets, I like how easy it is to like just set up a meeting, but
Yeah.
like the format of the platform itself is kind of dog water. Not gonna lie. Um, Zoom is like okay, but like it has like similar problems to like Google Meets. It's better for recordings because like recording in Google Meets so dog water, but it's like paid and it's not that good either. And then like MS Teams, I think it's like confusing for like the casual people, and it looks very formal. So I wouldn't say it's best for like just like casual, but it's good for like events like these. I will say because of the format where there's like a dedicated speaker.
Oh sure, it's
Pretty
almost
good.
7:13 a day.
Yeah.
I'm
Should
gonna
we let
start.
people in?
Yeah, I'll start admitting people.
Okay. Hi guys.
Evening, guys.
Evening. Evening. It's so cold. Is it raining in your place, Bri?
Nah. Pretty. But I feel like it's gonna rain. I don't know.
I feel like said. I mean, I can't tell. It's super dark. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Evening, guys.
Evening. Oh, brother. Fitz is asking if like admins have the power to rename people in Meet.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't. Hi guys, how are you? If they don't have the power to change, then I think it's chill, yeah. The people.
Let me make sure this is the right config.
Oh, config. Config if. No, that's so sad. I'm not gonna make any networking jokes until I actually get it.
And that was me with physics, you know. I didn't get the jokes. I just studied physics.
Oh yeah, your lore, your mini lore. Yo de yo. Yo Shane. Oh dude, you're so early, Ganiha. Congrats, congrats. Did you guys finish now the Koan? Ian's little activity? I think I saw someone who already like
Oh
finished it.
yeah, how's that going, guys? For
With that,
those
how's that going?
for those who didn't join yesterday, I'm not sure who didn't join yesterday, but then for like context,
Ah,
Ian held like a workshop. Ian held the first workshop yesterday on HTML and CSS, and then he gave like an activity for like you
oh yeah,
guys.
that's so true. Curtis Payne. That's fine, dude. Oh, the man, that's your. I have the project. Wilson, Harley. Yeah, there's someone who already answered. I think it's
I can't tell who's making the noise. Is that Fitz?
I think it's Fitz. It's
Okay, yeah, it was Fitz.
Fitz. It's Sayank Wolfgang. I don't know this. Wait, I'm pretty sure it's our batch. No? No? Wait, okay.
Who-
Never mind. I'm wrong. Ah, okay, you're like, that's fine. It was so nice. Dude, the Euro truck like website is so clean looking. I swear.
Wait, is it the one Ian made?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
that's what I meant. Oh wow, you didn't listen yesterday.
I was
That's true.
busy playing around with MS Teams.
Oh yeah, right. Not bad.
Do you have the link for the repo?
Yep.
Maybe you can resend it here so that people who didn't join yesterday can like see it.
It's in. Oh, it's actually in the Discord.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we posted it there. And there's already someone who placed their answer.
Dang.
Sayank. I don't know. I don't know if I said that right, but it's a really good one. Okay, what time will the event start, really?
We can start 7:35 again. We'll just give people a couple minutes to enter. We're not
Thank
that many right now. Yeah.
you, Sam, for the link. Yeah. Ah, dude, it's so cold, I swear. Hold on. Let me lower the temp. It's too cold. It should be good. Okay. Hmm. Oh, the prices are so cute, actually.
Prizes?
Yeah, the one like Ian showed, like the price sample. Is Ian here?
No. But then he accepted the invite, so I think he's gonna show up later.
Alright. I was gonna ask him if like he made this himself because it's so cute. Wait, let me just. Alright, there you go.
Yo, I'm Marlex.
Oh, Marlex. Ooh, nice background, really. It's a shooting star.
Hello.
Look, Ryan, it's stars. It's physics. Wait, Marlex. Wait, you guys can on camera if you want, or like talk. You know, it's fine. It's the event hasn't started yet. Yo, Stefan.
Evening, guys.
Evening.
Yeah, we're gonna start at 7:35 to give people a bit more time to enter.
Okay, okay. Did you hear that? You suck, bro. You suck,
What?
bro. You suck. I actually opened it. I actually opened it. 100% legit. Holy shit.
It's true though.
That's nice. Yo,
Yo, wait.
Vincent.
Yo,
Whoa,
Vince.
nice setup. Sheesh. Peak the
You know,
mic.
we don't have to hold the workshop for JavaScript anymore. We can just watch Vince eat for 2 hours.
Exactly. Eating the ice cream. What flavor is that? Pinipig. Umira lagi.
It's the coffee flavored ice cream. Yeah.
Nice,
It's like
nice,
pinipig but coffee flavored.
nice, nice. Duh. Okay, wait, let me just start. Knew it. Is it the one from like those Korean shops? Or dili sad?
No, it's just like the ice, like the tindahan across the corner.
Ah, okay, okay. Oh, bad. 332. Okay, hold on. No, there.
Oh.
Yeah?
Nice cat, Stefan.
Where's the cat? Oh, it's so cute! Holy shit, what's the breed? What's the breed? Holy shit, it's so cute. Did I ask you before, brother, if you were a cat or a dog person?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought you were gonna say cat.
I wish. I'm not that close with cats because I have dogs, so they don't
Ah,
mix.
that's true.
Right.
Stefan. Okay, there.
I'll just start sharing screen. So that once we get started, we can start right away.
Sure, sure, sure.
Just wait.
Let me
Let me just
see.
close this first.
Okay. Then. Yeah, by the way, guys, like even though like there's already someone who posted their website for like the challenge, you guys can still like keep posting your websites so that everyone else can see as well, like the things that you did, just a little showcase. Chaz,
Hold up.
and then Gun.
Just
Okay,
try to change the settings.
let me just. Ooh, okay, there you go. Oh, it's already 34.
Just. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay. Okay, we can give people like an extra minute. So 7:34 on
734.
my. Okay, it just turned 7:35. I'll give them an extra minute.
Okay. So 36.
Yeah.
GG. Ooh, try doing light mode.
It's so nice. It's a nice joke, man.
Okay. I think there's people here who prefer light mode. I'm not joking. Sergio, Chaz. Okay. Ethan. Okay, there. I think I added this person now. A deeper. Okay. Okay. Can't find.
Okay. 7:36. I guess we can get started. So yeah. Evening, guys. I'll be the one handling the workshop tonight. But before I get started, I just want to ask, like, how's your evening going? Can some people respond in the chat? Like, yeah. Sure. Hopefully, you guys are doing fine. Okay, Mary. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Mary. I love ice cream. Yes, that's the correct answer. Even though I'm lactose intolerant, a day away from Monday. Yeah, that's the biggest scam. Monday so far from Friday, but Friday so close to Monday. Sucks. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's Saturday. Bro. Okay, time is relative, guys. Einstein. Yeah, hungry because of Vincent's ice cream. Okay. How to join the Discord server? Mary, do you have?
We shall send link. Hold on.
Okay. Um, but yeah. Glad to hear that you guys are doing fine this evening. Personally, yeah, today's kind of relaxing. Kind of just took the morning off from coding. Because yeah, it's been pretty hectic week. But yeah, glad to hear that you guys are doing fine. So yeah, I guess we can get started. So can you guys see my screen, by the way? Just want to make sure. Um,
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
okay. So wait, why is this nav bar here? Okay, there we go. So yeah, evening everyone. So tonight we're gonna discuss JavaScript. So this is the second workshop in our workshop series of Brewing Vanilla websites. If you didn't tune in yesterday, well, tune in. Sounds like a podcast. But yeah, if you guys didn't tune in yesterday, we had HTML and CSS, which was handled by our web development officer Ian. And yeah, tonight I'm gonna be discussing JavaScript, which is like the next step to that. And then so yeah, let's begin. I'd like to quickly introduce myself. So I'm Brian Sanchez. Most of you may know me as the memes used in GDSC. So that's actually correct. Um, but besides that, I'm also a Microsoft student ambassador, which is the organization that also helps with this. That's also helping with this event right now. So MLSA. Um, then I'm also the chief technology officer of Google Developer Student Club San Carlos. And then currently, I've also have experience in the industry as well. So I've worked at two tech startups, which are listed here. So I'm currently a software engineering intern in Expodoc, in this tech startup called Expodoc. And previously, I was a software engineer in another tech startup called Dash Labs. And the reason for this is bottom line is like the tech stacks used at these companies are basically JavaScript, or actually TypeScript, which is like an extension of JavaScript, which we'll talk about if we have the time. But yeah, so basically, I've worked with JavaScript for like over a year now. So yeah, I'd say I'm pretty okay with it. Still, there's still a lot to learn, but then definitely learned a lot about it already. And tonight I'm here to teach you guys about it as well. So yeah, so this is basically the flow. I'm gonna discuss briefly like a quick background on JavaScript. So what is JavaScript exactly? Then we're gonna explore some concepts. So I'm going to um basically switch to VS Code and then demo to you guys like some of the syntax behind JavaScript. And then finally, we're going to do a demonstration to synthesize all the concepts we've learned in the exploration step. So I'm going to make a very simple to-do list with JavaScript to show you guys just how powerful the language is. And then, fun fact, can I'd like to ask the audience, why is JavaScript called JavaScript? Do you guys have any, um, yeah, do any of you know why? Marketing. Hey, Mary, Java was popular at the time. Okay, so yeah, that's actually, Jose is actually correct. So the reason why JavaScript is called Java. Yes, Java is hard, but that's not the reason. But yeah, the reason why JavaScript is called JavaScript is because when it was actually released, it was supposed to be called LiveScript, but then they wanted it to be associated with a very popular programming language, so people would use it. And then the popular programming language at the time was Java, so they just called it JavaScript so that people associate it with Java. Although there's not a lot of overlap between Java and JavaScript. It's just they just rode on the fame of Java. So yeah, that's basically a little fun fact for you guys on why JavaScript is called JavaScript. And now we're gonna talk very briefly about like what is JavaScript. So yeah, as you can see, it's a programming language used for adding interactivity to your web pages. So it allows you to as I'll show later, it'll allow you to manipulate the web page dynamically. So as you can see, it also allows you to make your website more dynamic and responsive. And another thing with JavaScript is that it lives on, or it can be executed by web browsers. So I'm gonna show you later. I'm gonna show you that later as well, where you can actually run JavaScript code directly in your web browser because that's actually where it's supposed to be run by default. And then so why learn JavaScript? So yeah, there are three main reasons that definitely didn't chat GPT. But yeah, these are the main reasons. So there's enhanced user experience, there's client-side processing, and there's widely used. Now, what do all these mean? According to ChatGPT, I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, so enhanced user experience, as I mentioned earlier, JavaScript can make your website more dynamic. So, for example, when you click on a button in the website, you can use JavaScript to make the website do something. So yeah, again, it makes your website way more engaging than it normally would without using JavaScript. And then there's also client-side processing. So, unlike HTML and CSS, JavaScript you can actually process like data with it. I'm gonna show that later as well. So what this does is instead of having to offload all your tasks to a web server, you can actually run some of the processing in the web browser itself through JavaScript so that it reduces the load on your server. And then finally, JavaScript is widely used, so it's supported by all major browsers. Pretty straightforward. You can just run it in pretty much any web browser, in any major web browser. So like Chrome, Bing. I don't know why, but I guess if you're still using Internet Explorer, then it also runs there. So yeah, it's widely used. And yeah, so these are the main reasons why you would learn JavaScript. And then JavaScript in the web development stack. So where does it fit in the web development stack? So um, I think Ian discussed this yesterday, but then they're basically three. These are like the three languages you'll start off with when you're learning basic web development. You have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML, there's HTML handles like the content and the structure. So it's kind of like yeah, it handles the content of the page. So it's like your skeletal system. And then CSS is yeah, CSS makes your website look good. So yeah, it's for use for like styling and then layout as well. And then finally there's JavaScript. So JavaScript adds functionality and interactivity to your website. So yeah, I'm gonna demonstrate that. Obviously, I'm gonna demonstrate that later. So yeah, JavaScript basically enhances what HTML and CSS give you. And yeah, I'm gonna show you guys that shortly. And that's actually it for the PowerPoint right now. So don't mind this. So yeah, I'm gonna hop over to VS Code and then show you guys the yeah, we're gonna get started with basic like JavaScript. So these are the topics, these are the concepts we're gonna explore over the next hour or so before we hop into the simple web project. So yeah, we have printing, and then we'll be after that we'll be declaring variables followed by objects, and then operators and expressions. Then we'll do conditional statements, loops, functions, arrays, and then handling user input, and as well as event and event handlers. And then if you guys actually have if you guys have experience with programming before, you notice that these topics are not just limited to JavaScript, right? These are things that are present in basically all programming languages. It's mainly these two. Well, I guess handling user input is also a thing available in other languages, but then JavaScript does it a bit differently. And yeah, events and event handlers is something really specific to JavaScript. So without further ado, wow, so formal. But yeah, we can get started. So I have this really basic HTML file. The way I set it up is Ian demonstrated this yesterday. So I'm just gonna delete the file and create a new index.html file. So to generate the boilerplate in VS Code, so you can just type in HTML:5, and then when you press enter, it generates this really basic boilerplate for you. And then to make it run on your web browser, we can use this extension called Live Server. So yeah, Live Server launches a local development server. So what it does is it allows us, so whenever we make changes to the files here, it'll automatically re-render the web page for us so that we don't have to, because without this, we have to, whenever we make changes to the files, we're gonna have to refresh the page ourselves. So Live Server kind of takes care of this step for us by refreshing the page automatically so that we don't have to keep on doing that ourselves. So yeah, once you install, if you don't have it installed, you can just click here and then you can install it. I already have it installed. So yeah, once it's done installing, you get this option to go live. So you can see here, click to run the live server. So if I click on go live, then you can see here, sorry, don't mind that. So you can see obviously there's nothing here yet. Then if I just input like a basic, let's say I'm gonna put intro to JavaScript. JavaScript. Okay. So if I do this and then I go back to the web page, you can see that it automatically re-renders. so that we get the content right away. So that's what live server does for us. So we don't have to keep on refreshing. So yeah, as you can see, so for printing, now we're gonna hop over to JavaScript. So to print something, we're gonna start with like the most famous example of like starter code, which is hello world. So to print in JavaScript, it's actually a bit more it's a bit lengthy. So instead of saying just printf, you know how in C it's like printf, and then in Python it's print. In JavaScript it's console.log. So console.log hello world. So this is how you print in JavaScript. And then the way to check, so I mentioned earlier that JavaScript code is run in your browser, and the way to check that is you can right click on the web page, then you can scroll down to inspect. And then once you click on inspect, you can see the dev tools. So the tab you want to that we're gonna be mainly focusing on tonight is console. So that's actually why it's called console.log, because console refers to this tab in the dev tools. So console.log literally means it's logging to the console. So if I say console.log hello world, it should show up here. But as you can see, nothing's happening. And the reason for that is we actually have to link the JavaScript file to our HTML file. So the HTML file is what's actually being like run by the web browser. But as you can see, we don't actually have any reference to our JavaScript file. So we're going to need to do that. Oh, okay. Sorry, I saw someone chatting. So yeah. So to link the JavaScript file to the HTML file, it's actually super simple. You just need to use a script tag, and then the attribute you pass is called SRC. So SRC just means source. So we're passing in a script, and then the source is what. So in the source, we pass in the path to our JavaScript file. In this case, it's just index.js because it's in the same directory. Then we just close the tag. But then that's it. So once you do this, your JavaScript file should be linked to your HTML file. And then if it's not, I am an imposter. Okay, thank God it works. Okay, so yeah, so that's basically how you link your HTML file to your JavaScript file. And then now we can actually get started on introducing the other concepts. So yeah, console.log, that's basically how you print stuff. It's pretty straightforward. And then the next thing we'll cover is declaring variables. So in JavaScript, um, the different ways to declare variables. I'm actually going to introduce data types first. So for now, we'll just say to declare a specific variable, we'll use this const keyword. So after we place in const, then we place in the variable name. So let's say name equals Mary. So yeah, that's basically an example of a variable. So the const keyword means constant. So it's short for constant. So what this means is that when I assign a value to this variable, I can't reassign this variable anymore. So I'm just gonna print this to the console first. So if I do name, okay, console.log name, you can see here that it logs Mary. So yeah, you can see that it works. However, if I try to reassign Mary to, for example, another name, Hiram, very original. But yeah, if I try to reassign it, you can see that it gets this uncaught type error. So assignment to constant variable. So yeah, that basically demonstrates the behavior of a constant variable. You can't reassign it anymore. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the variables whose values you can change later after I demonstrate like some data types. So there are so JavaScript has like the data types you're familiar with. So we have like number. Mary, how old are you again? Like 22, right? So yeah, and then if you round off, you're correct. If you round off, this is fine. So yeah. So let's say Mary's 22. We're thinking of the future. we're forward thinkers. So yeah. So this is an example of a number data type. So um yeah, there's also obviously you can do like floats and doubles as well. But yeah, this is like the basic number data type in JavaScript. And then besides that, the other common data type you'll probably be encountering is the Boolean. So if I create another variable named is student, then I give it a value of true. Then I'm just gonna log each of these to the console to see the values. Is student. Hold on, I don't think someone is muted. Oops. Okay. So if I log these to the console, then I go back to the console, you can see that it actually prints the values. And then the way we can verify that these are actually the data types I said they were, we can use the type of keyword. So if I just print type of before each of these, type of. So if I print type of before each of these, then I go back to the console, you can see that it's now printing the data type. So we have string, number, and boolean. Again, this isn't an exhaustive list of the data types that are present in JavaScript, but then these are the data types you'll most probably be working with. So yeah, then the other thing when it comes to declaring variables is, so I said earlier, we're using the const keyword to declare constant variables. So there's actually, then obviously with these variables, you can't change their value after that, as I demonstrated earlier. For example, if I change a student to false, false, then you can see I got an error. So that begs the question, how do I create a variable whose value I can change? And there's basically two ways to do that. So I'll introduce two new keywords. There's the let keyword, and then there's also the var keyword. So I'll just demonstrate this quickly. So let x equals 6, um, var y equals 6, and then if I change the values of these, so if I set both of them to 3 after I set both of them to 6, you can see, wait, let me log this first. Something I'm gonna be doing often is I'm gonna be commenting out the previous console statements so that it doesn't clutter up our console here, so that it's easier for you guys to follow along as well. So yeah, I'm going to console.log x, so the value of x, and then I'm gonna console.log y and the value of y. So as you can see, we don't actually get an error anymore, and the code runs all the way. So, and then it's the value we actually assigned to x and y, right? So you can see these are both different ways of declaring variables whose values we can change. So that also begs the question, what's the different, or which do I use if both of them seem to be doing the same thing? And the short answer for that is let is the one we should use now, because it's the more recent version of, it's more recent. So um before, the only ways to declare variables were through const and var. So obviously constant and then variable. But then the reason they changed this is um, they noticed there were some really weird behaviors with var that would kind of introduce bugs to the program that are not easy to fix. So an example of this is, there are many examples of this, but then the one I can demo right now is this one. So what I'm doing here is an if statement. I'm gonna go into depth on that later. But then for now, basically, like if for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, I just pass in a statement. For example is student. Then if this expression in here evaluates the true, it runs whatever's in this code block. So by doing if true, that just shows that I'm always going to run the code inside this code block. So for example, if I declare a let variable, I am a let, and then var variable, so I am a var. Then if I log these to the console, let variable, and console.log var variable. If I log these to the console, you can see that it works just as expected, right? So yeah, nothing weird about this. However, what happens, so I'll comment these out. What happens if I console.log outside the block? For example, if I console.log let variable outside this blocks, outside this conditional statement, what do you guys think will happen? Won't print. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you guys say it won't print, and then if I save this, you can actually see that that's correct. It won't print because it says it's not defined, right? Which is the intuitive understanding of it, because we declared it in here, but then we're accessing outside the scope of which we declared it in. So we declared it inside this block, so it should only, like, intuitively it should only be available inside this block. So yeah, you guys are right. It won't actually print. Yeah, and that's shown here, as you can see by the uncaught reference error. But what happens if I console.log the var variable. What do you guys think will happen? Well, the presentation is lagging. Can I confirm with anyone else if the presentation is lagging for them as well? Oh, okay. Is anyone else experiencing the same issue? Okay. Yeah, I'm afraid it's like a internet issue. But yeah, if I'm moving too fast, feel free to just like unmute or chat in the chat box to say so that I can slow down as well. Because yeah, internet issues aren't something ang fix sa laging kay using JavaScript. Yes. Well, we won't know until we try it. So that's what the next 2 hours are for. We're gonna test that hypothesis. But yeah, so as who was the one? As Jose said earlier, or as Jose like suggested earlier, it's gonna print. And then if I save this, you can see that it in fact does print. So which is weird, right? Because we're declaring this variable inside here, but then we're accessing it outside the scope in which it was declared, but then it still works. So that's a very weird behavior that that could introduce bugs. So this is one of the reasons why, or this is the reason why let was introduced a couple years later. It was to fix these weird behaviors that var introduced. And then here's another weird thing. Here's another weird thing that happens with var. Instead of printing it here, hold on. If I instead of printing it after, I'm gonna print left before. And then if I save this, you can see that obviously we got the error again, right? And this is like the intuitive outcome. Like obviously you declare it after. So before you even do anything, like it should not, like this should technically throw an error. Yeah, if you guys are familiar with C, the compiler will like get mad at you if you try to access the variable before you define it. So it's the same thing here. Ungot reference error, let variable is not defined. And again, that's because we're logging it to the console. We're accessing the variable before it even exists. So what happens if I change this to var variable? You can see that if I do this, it becomes undefined. And then that, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like the value doesn't exist yet. But then the behavior that's weird to JavaScript developers is that you can see that when we console.log with let variable, it throws an actual error. Like this is a legitimate error. And what happens if you throw an error is that the rest of the program doesn't execute. So for example, if I console.log I love JS. So let's say we love JS. Actually, we do. But yeah, for demonstration purposes, so I'm gonna log this with the console, and then if I try to do this, then obviously the rest of the program shouldn't execute, right? So since this throws an error, the rest of this console.log doesn't or shouldn't run, which is the behavior we see. As you can see, this will throw the error, so that means the rest of this code doesn't run anymore here. However, if I try to do if I try to console.log var variable, if I save it, you can see that it doesn't throw an error. So even before we define it, so there should be an error. Like this, yeah, this technically this should be an error because we're accessing the variable before we even define it. But then to JavaScript, this is completely fine. So even though this variable doesn't exist yet, it'll just say it's undefined, or it'll give you it'll give it a value of undefined, and then it'll just run the rest of the program, which I'm guessing like some of you can already see like why this is a problem, right? Because obviously when when it throws an error, like it should really prevent your program from running. But yeah, as you can see, like this isn't the case with var. So yeah, again, this is just another one of those weird behaviors that var has, so that that kind of brought forth the need to introduce let. So yeah, the bottom line is if you want to declare a constant, use const. If you want to declare a variable variable whose value can change, you use let. So from this point forward, whenever we declare a variable, we're gonna be using let instead of var. But I hope that kind of shows like some interesting thing about JavaScript or the history of JavaScript. So yeah, the next thing we're going to discuss is objects. So objects are actually a super important data type in JavaScript. If you guys are familiar with JSON, if you've like played around with WebDev, you can see that a common data format is JSON. And what JSON is it just means JavaScript object notation. So yeah, this is the concept I'm about to discuss is basically an introduction to JSON. So let's say we have this person variable. So here, so an object basically allows us to group variables together. So instead of, for example, if I'm describing Mary and then I try to declare different variables that represent different attributes of Mary, separate. A bit of a cleaner way to do it is to have a person object and then place in the attributes or place in the properties here. So you have a name property, we'll have an age property, and then we'll have a student property. So if I so this is basic. So this is just an object in JavaScript. So if I log this to the console, so console.log person, you can see that it prints so it prints the actual object. Wait, I'll just comment this out. As you can see, it prints like the entire object. And then if we want to access a specific property, for example, we want to get Mary's name only, there are two ways of doing it. So there's the dot notation, which is after we write out the object, we can place dot, and then we get a list of properties, right? So we can access the age, the student property, or the name. So if I click on name, you can see that it will only access the name now. Hold on. So yeah, you can see that it will only access the name. So this is what you would call dot notation, because to access the property, you'd use a dot after the object. So the format is object, then dot, and then property. So that's one way of accessing a property. The other way is through square bracket notation, if I'm not mistaken. So you do it's the same way. It starts out the same way. You specify the object, but then instead of putting dot, you place the square bracket, and then you place in a string, and then the string should take on the value of the property you want to access. So if you want to get the if you want to access the age property, you just pass in the string age, and then yeah, wait, let me type this out. Square bracket notation. As you can see, it still works just as well. There's really no difference between the two. Like there's no more or there's no like neither way is more correct than the other. Whichever you use eventually just comes down to preference. For example, for me, I personally prefer using the dot notation because it's a bit shorter, and yeah. So, but then again, doesn't matter. Like either of these will return the same output. It just depends on which one you prefer. So yeah, then let's say we want to change the property, like change Mary's age. So we'll actually correct it to Mary's actual age, which is 21, I think. So I hope that's correct. It's close to correct, I think. But yeah, so this is how we modify. We can just specify, so we can just access it like we would when you printed it, and then we just give it a new value. So if I console.log person.age now, you can see that it changes the value. So now the age is 21. And then instead of modifying a property, let's say we want to add a new property. So let's say Mary gave us her email. So to specify a new property, we can use dot notation or square bracket notation. It doesn't really matter, but then the property has to be like a new property name. So for example, email, and then mary@gmail.com. This isn't her actual email, guys. I'm not gonna disclose that information. But yeah, so this is an example. So this is how you add a new property, and then to verify that this property actually exists now. So we're gonna print this object again. So if I save this and then I log it to the console, you can see that we now have the fourth property, which is email. So you can see we still have the properties from when we initialized the object. So we have age, is student, and name, and then now we have email, which is the value we specified in VS Code. or here in the editor. So yeah, besides properties, so properties are basically variables. So as you can see, instead of saying the variable name equals Mary, we give it a this is basically a property now, so name colon Mary. So besides properties, we can actually also place functions into objects, and this is called methods. So if you guys are familiar with object-oriented programming, it's very similar terminology. So methods just refer to members of the object that are functions. So let me demonstrate that. So let's say I want to have a calculator object. And then this calculator can do two things. So it's not a very good calculator, but it works for very simple cases. So let's say I want to add. So I declare this add member, then it'll take in this function. Again, I'm gonna do a deep dive on functions later, but then for now, this is like the most basic way of declaring a function. So you just do the function keyword and then the parameters you want to give in or input to the function, and then here's where you specify what the function does. And then if yeah, so all we want to do with the add function is return a plus b. That's what add means, I think. So yeah. Then besides that, we want to make it subtract. So basically the same thing, but instead of return a plus b, it's return a minus b. So this is how you declare a method inside an object, and then to call it, it's similar to how you would access the property. So we do calculator dot add, but then remember this is a function. So besides the so we also have to feed in the parameters we want to pass. So if we want to call add, so we do calculator dot add, and we feed in the values. So if we do 5 and 3, this should print 8. So if I save this, you can see that it actually prints 8. And let me comment this out. So so it prints 8. And then let's say we want to subtract. So console.log calculator dot subtract 5, 3, 5, 3. So this should be something 2. So this should be 2. So yeah, if I save this, you can see that it logs the value to the console. So this is a really again, this is super simple, but then once you really get into the nitty-gritty of JavaScript and you want to build your own projects, these concepts can be super knowing these concepts is super important. So yeah, that's basically it for objects. Before I move forward, I just wanna check up on you guys. How are you guys doing? Do you have any like questions, or should I slow down, or is the pace okay? Is there a distinct difference between let and var? Wait, was this asked? Okay, this was asked earlier. Still processing. Okay. Yeah, so I'll try slowing down a bit, but then also the meeting is also recorded, so it's gonna be the reason for that is we're gonna make this available to the members so that they can also review this in their own time, because we understand that not everyone learns at the same pace. So the basic solution we have for that is just to make the video available for all time. So Mary, you're officially immortalized in a GDSC tutorial, so congrats. Or your future self is immortalized because you're 22 here. But yeah, thanks for the feedback, by the way. I'm gonna try adjusting the pace. As for this question, is there a distinct difference between let and var? I'm not sure if this was asked before I discussed it, but then the main difference is besides spelling, obviously, the let is the more recent version. So the TLDR is if you want to declare a variable whose value you can change, it's preferable to use let because it's the more recent version. So var is kind of the outdated version of doing things. So yeah, with that, we can move on to operators and expressions. Again, this is something that's common to not just JavaScript, or it's not something that's available only in JavaScript. But yeah, there are 3 types of operators. For the ones I'll discuss are arithmetic operators. Then we have comparison operators, and we have logical operators. So for arithmetic operators, these are, as you may figure out, these are just like math operations. So we have plus. So some of the like popular ones include like plus, minus, times, divide. These are not Ed Sheeran albums, by the way. This is Well, actually they are, but then in the context of this tutorial, they're arithmetic operations. So yeah. Then we have the comparison operators. So comparison operators are, I'm sure you've already seen this as well. So greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and then unequal and then equal to. However, there are two extra ones that I'll be introducing. So we have this unequal to, but then there's an extra equal sign, and then there's the equal to, but then with three equal signs. So I'm gonna go into that in a bit. And then finally we have logical operators. So your and, your or, your not. So yeah, for the arithmetic operators, I'm just gonna give like a really quick demo. So for example, let a equals 5, let b equals 3, let sum equals a plus b. So this is an example of an arithmetic expression. And then let product equals a times b. So if I console.log these, and obviously I'm gonna comment out the other stuff. So if I console.log these, you can see that it obviously prints the values we're expecting. So 5 plus 3, which is 8, and then 5 times 3, which is 15. And then then you can just replace these with the other arithmetic operators to try them out. Then for comparison operators, again, I'll just give a quick demo on these. So console.log, for example, a greater than b, which in this case is going to be, what do you guys think? What's the output of this? Is a greater than b? Come on, guys. What's the answer? What do you think is going to output? Is a greater than b? Okay, so Mary thinks 5 is not greater than 3. So I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you, Mary, but yeah, it's true. So yeah, the comparison operators or the comparison expressions actually just output the boolean. So for example, if a is greater than b, then it's just gonna check is 5 greater than 3. Then if it's true, it'll print out true, which in this case it is. Then otherwise it's gonna print false. So yeah, bottom line is the comparison expressions are gonna output boolean values. So yeah, another example is so these ones are pretty straightforward. The ones I want to talk about are going to be these ones. So what's the difference between this inequality checker, like this inequality comparison operator, and this one? So I'm gonna demo that real quick. So for example, if I do a equals 5, then wait, I'm gonna comment these others out. So if I do this, so a equals 5, which is true, right? Because we set the value of a to 5. It is gonna print true. I mean, remove this as well. And this is true. So yeah, a is equal to 5, so that's gonna print true. However, if I add, so if instead of saying is it equal to the numeric value of 5, I'll ask is it equal to the string value of 5. So what do you think is gonna happen with this? You wanna redeem yourself? Or anyone? What do you think is the answer? Is a equal to the string value of 5? False. Okay. True. Okay, so the answer to this is it's actually gonna print true. So yeah, Mary, congrats, you've redeemed yourself. So yeah, it's gonna print true, and the reason for this is really this is what you would call an not strict equality checker. So it doesn't matter what the data type is, as long as the value, which in this case is 5, is equal to the value of a, which is also 5, then it's gonna be considered true. However, if I add this extra equality sign, that makes it a strict equality operator. And as you can see, now it's gonna evaluate the false. And the reason for this is besides checking the value, so besides just checking is the value equal to 5, it'll also check the data type, which in this case is not true, right? Because A is going to be a number, but then 5 is a string. So since the data types aren't equal, it's gonna evaluate the false. And then the same thing is, it's basically the same concept with the inequality. So the strict inequality is also gonna check the data type. So bottom line is, if you only want to check the value, you use the unstrict version. If you also want to check the data type, if you want to check both the value and the data type, you use the strict version. In this case, it's going to be false. And yeah, that's basically the only new thing that comes up with comparison operators. The others are common in other languages as well. Here. Oh. Okay. So yeah, the next thing is the last operator we're gonna cover is the logical operator. And this is pretty straightforward as well. So has coffee equals true, has donut equals false. So I'm just declaring these variables. Then to see these operators in action, we're just gonna print, for example, has coffee and has donut. This is an AND, so it's gonna be true and false, which is false. So yeah, you can see here it prints false. And then if we make this, so we make it instead or console.log as coffee or as donut, then we print this, you can see it'll evaluate to true because it's or, which requires only one of them to be true. So true. And then finally, there's the not, which is just reversing the Boolean value of this. So if we say the person doesn't have coffee, then so it's going to say not true, which is going to be false. So yeah, the logical operators follow, like, it's pretty much the same with other languages as well. So that's basically it for operators. Again, I encourage these. Again, this is not like an exhaustive demo of the concepts that I'm showing you guys. This just gives you a brief introduction. I recommend that you guys play around with this yourself, so that you can actually get hands-on experience with it. So for the next thing is the conditional statement. So I actually demoed this earlier, but then I'm going to flesh it out a bit more. So conditional statements, we have, again, it's just like if statements. So let's score, for example, equals 85. We're gonna just have like a simple check. So if score is greater than or equal to 90, then console.log a. Oops. And then else if score is greater than or equal to 80, then console.log b, and then else console.log c. So if you guys aren't familiar with conditional statements, again, so it's just gonna go through each of these conditions one by one. So it's gonna check if score is score greater than or equal to 90. If it's true, it'll print this, and then it'll skip the rest of these. Otherwise, if it's not equal to 90, it'll just go through the rest of these statements one by one. So for example, with this one, the score equals 85. It's gonna check here first. So is 85 greater than or equal to 90? In this case, it's not. So it's going to go through the next condition. Is it greater than or equal to 80? Which in this case is true. So it's gonna log b to the console, and then it'll skip this because this statement already evaluated the true. So if we can actually verify this, if we go back to the console, you can see it prints b, and then we can see that it goes to the else block if it's less than 80. So if we, example, make it 75, you can see that it now prints C. So yeah, this is super straightforward. It's something that's present in like pretty much any programming language. Then so besides writing this out as like if else statements, there's actually another way to express conditionals, and that's through ternary operators. So the best way I can explain this is by writing it out first. So I'm actually gonna skip. For example, I'm just gonna do if else. So if score is greater than or equal to 90, just console.log a. Else, just print C. And so the way we can do this is we'll do a check. So is score greater than or equal to 90? Then we place a question mark and then whatever we place after the question mark is going to be the statement we're going to execute if this is true. So so you can think of it as we're asking ourselves this question: is score greater than or equal to 90? And if it is, console.log a. Else, so the colon represents the else. So if it isn't true, then execute whatever's after the colon. So console.log c. Whoops, c. Let me comment this out. So if I run this, you can see that it's going to print c. Because it goes through this. So score is greater than or equal to 90. In this case, it's not. So it runs whatever's after the colon. And then we can actually recreate this entire conditional statement using ternaries. So instead of just saying console.log c after the colon, we can actually like chain another ternary operator. So we can ask, is score greater than or equal to 80? If it's true, console.log b. Otherwise, console.log c. So yeah, this is called chaining. So as you can see, like it checks if the score is greater than or equal to 90. If it's true, print this. Otherwise, we check again. We have another condition: ask, is the score greater than or equal to 80? If it is, console.log b. Else, we default to c. So these two statements are actually equivalent. And then if I run these, you can see that they both print the same thing. So again, that's like what I said earlier with the accessing of members in the object. So you can see there are two ways of doing it. Similar, so same story here. There are two ways of writing conditionals. Neither is more correct than the other. Again, they output the same thing. It all comes down to preference. Although, like personally, from my experience, you only really write ternary operators if you're doing an if-else statement. Because as you can see, if it was an if-else statement, then yeah, if it was an if-else statement, let me rewrite that. So as you can see, if it was an if-else statement, it's super readable, right? So it just checks, like it's literally like asking a question: is the score greater than or equal to 90? If so, print A. Otherwise, print C. If we start chaining a bunch of other ternary operators to it, you can see it becomes a bit less readable. So my tip is if your statement is only like an if-else, and then also if the logic inside the conditions inside here is simple, then you can use a ternary operator. Otherwise, if you have like a bunch of conditions you need to check for, or if the logic inside each of these is complicated, like for example, it's like a bunch of lines of code in here, then you can just default to like the if statements. So yeah, it comes down to practice, but then that's just like my 2 cents based on like my practice. So yeah, that's basically it for conditional statements. Then the next thing we can do, or the next thing we'll cover is loops. So again, pretty standard. So we have two ways of doing it: for loops and while loops. And then for loops, it's yeah, it's very reminiscent of C. So we can declare I equals 1, or sorry, we can do it like so. So we can we have the for keyword, then we do let I equals 1, so this is initializing the variable, then I is less than or equal to 5. So this checks to see whether to end the loop or not, and then I plus plus. So yeah, again, there are 3 parts to it. So the first one initializes the variable. Then the second part is the condition to check if the loop should continue. And then the last one is basically the statement to run, or the iterator statement. So after the code in here executes, basically run this. And what this does is it changes the value of I. Because if we don't do this, then obviously the loop's gonna run forever. So I'm just gonna print a very simple statement. So iteration I. So yeah, if I print this, wait, let me comment this out. If I print this, then you can see that it just yeah, it's pretty intuitive. So yeah, it just prints iteration along with the value or the value of I. How come equal? How about the do? Okay, so there are 2 questions I see. How come not equals, strict not equals is a thing? Oh, well, yeah, you can't check if a data type is less than or equal to another data type. All yeah, I guess in terms of that, it doesn't make sense to compare data types. And then for do while, JavaScript, I'm not sure if JavaScript actually has a do while. The best way to check is to search online, do while JavaScript. Oh, okay, so there's a do while. So I set corrected. So there's actually a do while statement. Yeah, so there are actually three ways of doing it. Thank you for pointing that out, Kesha. Whoa, today I learned. Whoa, that's cool. So yeah, so you can see I don't know everything, which is fine. So yeah, you don't really need to know everything to do cool stuff with it. So yeah, there's also the do well. I'll demo that as well. Hopefully this documentation is correct. So yeah, so this is the for loop. Then for the while loop, we can do while. So yeah, we're just gonna initialize another variable. Obviously, we can't reuse this because it's already used here. So you can let count equal 0, and then while count is less than, for example, 5. Or we can make it run the same thing here, so we can compare. So less than or equal to 5. Console.log iteration, and then count. And then something you have to keep in mind for the while loops is you really have to remember to add your iterating statement at the bottom. With the for loops, it's a bit easier to do so because you have to specify it on top. But then with the while loops, you have to specify it. You don't necessarily have to specify it in the bottom, but then you really have to make it exist somewhere in this function body. Otherwise, your um loop's gonna execute forever. And then let me make sure it's correct because I don't want this program to like crash. Okay, so hopefully this doesn't crash. So yeah. Um so as you can see, it prints the same thing. So this is the output from the for loop. As you can see, this is the line it comes from, 102, which is here, 102. And then, yeah, the next one comes from the while loop. So as you can see, it comes from line 108. Yeah, so in line 108. So again, these two do the same thing, and then we will do the do while. Uh, yeah, okay. So for do while, if I'm doing this right, so do while, let me count 2 equals 1. And then, yeah, okay, count 2 plus plus. Console.log, iteration count 2. Or I think we put this before. While count 2 less than or equal to 5. So please don't crash. Oh shit. Okay, never mind, it did. Um, hopefully that. Okay. So as you can see, I will just demo this now. You can see it hangs because we accidentally iterated count instead of count 2. So yeah, so you can see the web browser is now hanging, and I will have to kill it with this. So I have no idea which tab this is. Um, by process of elimination, this looks like the one that's eating up the most memory. So okay, whoa, okay, that was it. That was cool. Okay, so yeah, if it does that, then if your program hangs, it's not the end of the world. You can just close your port, and then you can just click go live again, so it'll run it. So yeah, that's an example of what not to do. So yeah, just important to remember to make your thoroughly set your iterator statements in your while loop. And this is also why I don't really use while loops. I prefer using for loops because the logic is very explicit. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so these are the three ways, I think. I hope. Yeah. So these are the three ways. So you can see it prints it 3 times, one for each loop that we declared. So yeah, then again, it all comes down to preference, which one you use. But then for me, for loops is like the cleanest way to go. Actually, I've never really used while loops recently. I think that's mainly why I didn't know do while existed. So yeah, cool learning experience. But yeah, that's basically it for loops. Yeah, these last four topics are not super lengthy. Or they kind of are. So before we go into them, I'd like to ask if you guys have any more questions. Your program has something. My favorite. Unless your program is your OS, then okay, it pretty much is the end of the world. But yeah, you guys have any questions, or am I going too fast so I can adjust my pacing? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, sold. So yeah, we're gonna move on into functions now. So with again, this is another one of those sections where it's like there are multiple ways to do it. Um, but then it comes down to preference which one you use. I'm just going to show you guys the three ways of doing it. Just so that you guys at least you guys know that these three things exist. So um before we do that, we're gonna create like another object so we can use it. We can actually pass it to the function, or our functions have data to work with. So let's create a new person. So person first name is um okay, it landed on Mary again. Oh, okay, never mind. Our um a good friend of mine will do Shane. So first name Shane, last name Marita. So Shane, you are officially immortalized as well in GDSC tutorials. And then your age is okay, Shane. Give me some help here. You can PM me your age so you don't reveal it. Oh, never. You don't know PMing is useless. I'm gonna show it anyway. Okay, 21. Okay. Out of pure respect, you're 20 now. Okay. So yeah, this is the person we're working with. So yeah, there are basically three ways to declare a function. So we have function declaration, then we have the function expression, and then we will have the arrow function. So the function declaration is what I actually showed earlier. If we go back up to here. So as you can see, this is basically function declaration. Um, so the way you write it is function keyword and then the name. The name of the function, so greet person, then the parameters you want to give it, and then the return statement. So for the logic, in this case, our logic is going to be super simple. We're just going to write a simple greeting for the person. So hello plus person dot plus person dot first name plus space plus person dot last name plus three exclamation marks because we're just that excited to see Shane. So yeah, this is the first way of doing it. To demo it, I'm gonna create a message. So in the message, I'm just gonna store the value of greet person, and then we're gonna pass a new person. So yeah, I'm just gonna run this quickly. Greet person, it'll call this. So that means this return string will be assigned to message. So if I console.log message, wait, again, let me comment out the previous log statement so we don't clutter up the console. So yeah, this is console.log message. If I see this, you can see, hello, Shane Burrito. We're very excited to see you. So yeah, this is a very basic function. Then the next way to do it, so this is for function declaration. The next way we're gonna do it is with function expression. And it's basically it's kind of like we're assigning the function to a variable. So we do const. We can actually do let as well, because it's a variable. But then the common practice is const because you don't expect to change the definition of a function often. So const greet person, I can type greet person equals function person, and then the body is just going to be the same. We're just going to return this again. So as you can see, it's kind of different. So it's kind of like rearranged. So the body is the same as you can see. The body is exactly the same. It's just that the header is a bit different. So we have the const and the function name, and then the function keyword, and then the parameters we want to pass. And then, okay, so obviously we declared function greet person twice, so we have to comment one of these out. So if I comment this out, you can see that it now runs. Obviously, it's the same thing again. So yeah, again, these are different ways of doing the same thing. Then yeah, the last way to declare a function is arrow function. So this is actually the kind of like but this is the one I use most often when I'm writing functions. So it starts off similar to the function expression. So greet person equals However, instead of using the function keyword, we just skip it entirely. We pass in the parameter right away, and then we use an arrow function. So after the arrow function, we place in the return statement. So yeah, this is basically how you declare an arrow function. And then to make sure this works, we can comment this stuff out, and then yeah, as you can see, it runs the same thing. So as you can see, we didn't actually have to change anything about the function call. It's just that how we define the function is the same. So if you doesn't matter which way you use, as long as yeah. But then it is recommended that once you pick one way of doing it, you stick to that. For example, if in a JavaScript project I'm using arrow functions to define my functions, it's best that I stick with arrow functions for declaring all my functions instead of switching between these because it gets confusing. So yeah, I'm just gonna uncomment this again, then like let you guys see the difference. So again, function declaration. This is this pretty much like the standard way, or it's like reminiscent of how other programming languages do it. And then we have function expression, wherein we define the function here, then we assign it to a variable. And then finally, we have the arrow function. Again, we're assigning the function to a variable, but then instead of using the function keyword, we use an arrow function. We use the arrow. That's why it's called an arrow function. So instead of using the function keyword, we use this arrow thing. And yeah, basically it. Again, the one I use the most often is the arrow function, especially in React, because we're gonna be teaching React in a couple of weeks, and then personally, from my experience, I've used arrow functions like 100% of the time. I don't really use these, but then again, that's just my preference. So that's basically it for functions. Next, we're gonna cover arrays. So we're almost there, guys. Actually, not really. We still have the demo after this, but let's just say we're almost there. Placebo effect. So yeah, next thing we're gonna cover is arrays. Yeah, again, something that's common in other languages as well. For example, colors. We have to declare an array, we use the square bracket, and then we just fill it up with elements. So yellow, blue, red. Oops, red. And then yeah, it's basically it. And then you don't have to make the elements of the same data type. For example, you can place in 0 as well. And then if I log this, you can see that yeah, it prints all the elements. However, it is better practice to keep your elements of the same type. But yeah, you don't need to worry about that too much for now. So yeah, this is an example. This is a very simple example. Then if you want to, for example, access the first element, we use square bracket notation, and then we pass in the index. So yeah, in JavaScript, arrays are 0 index. So this element is actually index 0, not index 1. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2. And as you can see, if I log this, you can see that it is in fact 0 index. So this is going to print yellow. And then one thing to note, this is also going to help build up to our project in a bit. So we're going to declare another array. This time we're going to call it to-do list spoilers. Or sorry, not spoilers, foreshadowing. So yeah, this will be, instead of just an array of basic data types, it's going to be an array of objects. So if you remember objects again, very important data type that you'll be working with a lot in JavaScript. So yeah, this is just an array of that. So we're gonna have a to-do list object with the property of title, buy groceries, and then for example, due date 2023 10:30. So as you can see, I am way past the deadline. Yeah, then we're gonna copy a few more elements just so that we have like a bunch of them to work with. I'm not gonna buy groceries 3 times, so I'm gonna do finish project, and then the due date is, I'm gonna say next month, so that it looks like I'm already working on it. Yeah, then finally we're gonna we're gonna exercise. Yeah, no way. I'm just gonna put a basic deadline. So yeah, these are just sample. Again, this is just a sample of an array of objects. And then if I want to print the entire array, I can just do so. So if I console.log to-do list, you can see that it really prints out each so that it prints out the entire array. And then again, to access a specific element, we use the index of the element we want to access. So as you can see, if we console.log to do list 0, it should print out this object. So as you can see, it prints out that object. Then if we want to access, for example, we want to access the first element's title property. So to do that, we can just add dot. Yeah, we can do dot notation again. So to do list 0 dot title, which in this case should output by groceries. So yeah, it's basically like building on top of the concepts we already discussed. So by the time you do to do list 0, you can just treat this as an object. So if you want to access an object property, you just specify it through dot notation or square bracket notation. I'm gonna do another example. To do list 2 dot due date. This should print this one. Yeah, so it should print that. And yeah, that's basically it for accessing. And then let's say we want to add another element. So wow, busy day. We want to do something else. So we can do to add another element. You do to do list dot push, push. And then okay, before I get into that, you can see that you can see that when I click on dot, we get this autocomplete from VS Code. And then these are what you would call array methods, because as the name implies, these are functions you can perform on arrays. There are a bunch of them, but then as I mentioned earlier, you don't need to know all of these to carry out whatever project you want. Learning it is more like a need to know basis. So you just start with the problem and then you figure out what you need to use here to get what you want. So in this case, what we want is we want to add an element. So in this case, that's what push is for. So push means it pushes to the end of the list. So I pass in a new to do. What do I want to do? Sleep. Yeah. Okay. So the due date is, what's the date today? November 4. So yeah, I have to sleep today for once. So yeah, if I push this and then to verify that it actually gets pushed, I do to-do list. I console.log to-do list again, and then if I log it to the console, you can see that we have the previous 3 to-do items we had, plus the 4th one that we just added. And then yeah, again, this is by no means an exhaustive list of what you can do with arrays. As you can see earlier, there are like a bunch of stuff you can do with them. But yeah, it's more like a need to know basis. Personally, I don't even know a lot of these. So yeah, feel free to explore in your own time, obviously. So that's the best way to learn it. And then yeah, that's basically it for to-dos. Okay, the last two are fairly short. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna handle user input. Um, so the way we do that in JavaScript, or there are actually many ways of handling user input in JavaScript, but then the most common way, or like the easiest way to set up, is through this thing called a prompt. So prompt. So let's say I want the user to enter their name, and then I console.log hello plus user input plus exclamation mark. So if I do this, if I save this, you can see that when I refresh the page, I get this prompt. Yeah, so I get this prompt, and then if I type in my name, which is Brian, the last time I remember. So yeah, if I input Brian, you can see that it actually takes in that input, then it feeds it to the console, and then yeah, this is like the easiest way to set up user inputs in JavaScript, but then this is not the most common way, because as you can see, like the first problem is like you notice that when the prompt pops up, I can't do anything else on the page, right? I'm stuck here. So this is kind of like a destructive way of getting user input, because it prevents the user from accessing the web page unless they feed something to the prompt. So yeah, we're actually going to handle user inputs differently later. So the most common way of using JavaScript to handle user input is you typically have like a form in your HTML document, and then you extract the values in the form through JavaScript, and then you process that input. So the user inputs their stuff through like a form, and then you can extract it with JavaScript. But yeah, this is like the simplest way to accept user input, because it requires like no setup. And then yeah, is there any questions? Okay, no questions. So yeah, the last thing we're gonna discuss before we hop into the demo is event handlers. So event handlers are probably like this is the reason why JavaScript is we say that JavaScript adds functionality to your website. It's through because of event handlers. So as the name implies, whenever something happens on your web page, that's an event. So event handlers you should follow from that logic. Like event handlers is like when something happens on the page, what should you do? So through JavaScript, you can actually alter the behavior of the elements on your page so that when something happens on the page, you can use JavaScript to make your page do something. And the simplest example is through like button clicking. So I'm going to add a button to my HTML document. So I'll just say um, pick me. And then I'm going to give it an ID. My button. So the reason why we specify this ID is actually how we can get access to this button through JavaScript. So if I want to get this button, um, so if I want to get this button, um, I can do I can use this. So const button. So I'm going to save this to this variable here. So I can use document. So document is a special object in JavaScript. So document literally means the document, like the HTML document. So document dot get element by ID. So I want to get a specific element by its ID tag, and then the ID. So what I feed in here is the ID. So the ID I want to get is the ID of my button. So yeah, so this basically, using this statement, we now have access to this button in our JavaScript file. And then right now, let me get rid of this prompt. Goodbye prompt. As you can see, we didn't touch our button yet. We just placed it in our JavaScript file. Or we just placed it in our HTML file. And then as you can see, if I click on this, nothing happens, right? So to make it do something, through JavaScript, we can do this. So we do button dot add event listener. So as the name implies, it listens to an event we specify for. So the event we specify for, or the event we specify is, as you can see, there are like a bunch of events you can work with. Again, I don't know. Actually, I don't know a lot of these. So, but then the one we want to listen to right now is click because we want something to happen when we click this button. So the first parameter we pass to this function is the event we want to listen to, in this case, click. And then the next parameter is the function is what we want to do once this event happens. So it's basically saying listen out for clicks and then when a click happens, do this. And in this case, we're just going to make it super simple. So you can make it you can actually make it very complicated, but then we're going to make this simple for demonstration purposes. So once the button gets clicked, just alert button click. So now when I go back to the page, if I click on this button, wow, so we have an alert. So yeah, this is just a really simple example. Again, you can just add more logic here to like yeah, I don't know, do more complicated stuff like fetch data from an API and stuff like that. But then we're keeping it simple for now. So this is how JavaScript makes your web page more dynamic and interactive. So through stuff like event listeners, you can make your page you don't the page won't have to be static anymore. And yeah, that's basically it. Um, so now we can move on to the demo, but then before that, just want to ask if you guys have any like questions. Okay, all good. Okay, once, twice. Okay, so we can start with the demo. I'm gonna work with the same files. I'm actually going to remove the JavaScript that we have here. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm going to work with the same files. I'm just gonna remove all this boilerplate. Don't worry. Yeah, if you want a copy of this, I actually have it uploaded in my GitHub. It's not a plug. I mean, kind of is, but then that's not the point. But yeah, so I actually have it uploaded in my GitHub. I'll send the link to the team so that they can send it to you. Yeah, so can anyone on the team send it to the chat? Oh, there's a question. Is it possible for you to run back event handling? Kind of got lost with how the alert popped up when you clicked on it. What do you mean by back event handling? Do you mean like, yeah?
Just like a slight backtrack on event handling, or like how you discussed it a bit, because I kind of got the gist on how you're supposed to do event handling and like assigning different things to different elements of your HTML file. Pero at some point during the, I think the alert assigning, kanang when you put the alert notice when you click the button, for some reason when I try to type it out it doesn't work. But I just want to try to make sure that I'm trying getting something right there. Like I'm not
Okay.
sniping stuff.
Okay. So if you're worried about, if you really want access to the code, you can check like the link that Sam just sent. But for to go back a bit, so alert is actually like a built-in JavaScript thing. So if I, even without this, if I just say like alert and then hi, this is something that's built into like JavaScript, so it'll throw an alert. So by like through this code, it's not gonna throw the alert right away. What it's gonna do is it's just gonna throw the alert when this button is clicked. So yeah, pretty much the same syntax. It's just that we put the alert, we put the call to alert inside the button event listener, so that it only gets thrown when the button is clicked. Does that answer your question, by the way, or?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, last call for questions before we move on to the demo. You guys can still ask questions after the demo, by the way. I just want to break the forum down into segments so that we can question stuff chunk by chunk. Okay. I guess that means there's none. It's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this code again. You can, all of this code is up on this link here that Sam just sent. Yeah, so I'm gonna remove all of this so that we can make way for the project. So so when we get started on this project, I'm actually gonna touch the HTML first, and then I'm going to leave it like untouched because we're gonna jump into JavaScript right after. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a simple header, so to-do list, and then I'm going to have an input, and then type equals text, and then ID equals task input, and then placeholder equals add new task. And then instead of the button saying click me, we're gonna make this an add button, and then we're just gonna give it a value of add. And then finally, okay, so what I want to do, or what I want to happen, is basically this, right? So we have a simple form where I can place in text, and then when I click add, it should create, it should add a new entry somewhere down here. And then it should reset this input field, because for example, if I click add and then it creates this, I don't want this value to stay here, right? Because if I want to input a new to-do item, I still have to remove this. So we want that step to be done automatically. So again, I want to be able to place text in this form. And when I click this button, it should add a new to-do item somewhere down here. And then it should also remove, or it should also reset the form by making it blank again. So yeah, we have the input, we have the button, and then I'm going to place an unordered list so that we have somewhere to insert the to-do items. So I'm just going to give this an ID of to-do list. Oops, to-do list. And then you can see we're not actually going to be placing anything in here because the insert will be happening through JavaScript. So once we have this, that's basically it for our HTML. And then the first thing we need to do is always whatever elements you want to access through JavaScript, it's best to declare them first so that you have everything you need in JavaScript already. So we're gonna have input lm. We're gonna be doing get element by ID again. So we're gonna be using that pretty often. So get element by ID, and then the ID should be task input to this one. And then for the button element, we're gonna document.get element by ID, and then add button. And then finally, well, console.log. Const unordered or list element document dot get element by ID to-do list. So yeah, this is basically through these three statements, we now have access to these three elements in our JavaScript file. And so what we want to do is obviously we want to add an event listener to our button, because when we click that, that's when everything happens. So we're going to do button elem.add event listener, and the event is click. So we want it to listen out for clicks. And then yeah, the function is, so here's where all our logic will lie. And to make this a bit easier to digest, we're going to break down the steps. So the first thing we need to do is, so let's say I input the text here. When I click this button, what I want to happen is first, JavaScript should get this field, should get this value, or this input field value. So it should get the input field value, get text from input. And then the next thing it should do is create a to-do item with it. So create a to-do item as in create the item and then place it on the web page. And the way to do that is we first create the to-do item with the input text. And then after that, so now we have the to-do item, then we'll basically append it to this list here. Because right now this list is empty, right? So we have to append the newly created to-do item for the item to show on the page. So we're gonna append new to-do item to list item or to list elem, because this is the unordered list. And then finally, now that everything's showing, we want to reset the input field or the text field. So reset input. So the way to, so now we're gonna, this is basically the pseudocode we're gonna follow. Now we're going to actually write the code to get all of this stuff done. And so for the first step to get the text from input, it's actually super easy. So we're gonna do task text. So we're gonna save this to a variable, obviously. So input elem dot value, and that's it. That's how you get the, this refers to, like, it gets the value from the input. And to verify that, we can do console.log task text. So I'm just gonna show the console again. You can see that I did actually right click and then inspect element. There's actually a shortcut to do it, is you just press F12 on your keyboard and then it'll show the console. So now, let's say I type in text and then I click on add. You can see that it logs to the console. So by doing this, we're able to get the text from the input field. So now that we're sure we have that, we want to create the to-do item. But then before we create the to-do item, we actually have to check, because for example, let's say my input doesn't contain anything. If we click on add, we don't want to do this, right? So we don't want anything to happen, because it's like wasting processing. So we want to add a check to see if so basically only run the logic if there's actual text in here. And the way we can do that is through a simple check. So we use a conditional statement if task text. So basically this means like if task text exists, then we'll run it. So let me show you guys. So task text. So now we should only see stuff printed to the console if there's actually a value in task text. So for example, there's nothing here. So if you can see that nothing gets logged to the console when I click on the button. However, if I add test, you can see that it now prints. And then if I remove it, you can see that nothing happens again. So this is a really basic example of like user input validation, which is really important as you develop more complicated projects. So yeah, now that we know if the text, so then now that we're sure that the text is defined, we're gonna put all this stuff inside here. Because obviously we don't want to do this if like all this work is unnecessary if the task text doesn't exist. So to create the to-do item, we're gonna create the list item elem. And the way we can create new elements is we use document dot create element. So as the name implies, it literally creates a new element, and then what we feed it is the tag. So in this case, we want it to be a list item, which is an li tag. And then, so now this creates the element, the new li element, then it saves it to list item lm. And so if we want to set the content, or we want to set the text content of list item lm, we can just use list item lm dot text content. And then to set it to task text, we can just do equals task text. So it's pretty straightforward. We just want the text context to be whatever value we got from the user. And so this basically creates the so this basically does the job of this. So now we created a to-do item with input text. But then as you can see, if we run this, you can see that nothing happens. And the reason for this is even though you create the element, it actually doesn't get rendered here yet. So you whenever you create an element, it's important that you not just create the element through like this, but you also have to add it to the HTML. And the way we do that is through in this case is we do list lm dot append child. So as the name implies, so if I go back dot append, you can see we have two methods for append and so we have append and append child. And the difference is if we, for example, we have the list item already. If we do list lm dot append, it will place the element here. So it will place it, it's the next element after ul. However, if we do append child, instead of placing it after the ul, it'll be placed inside. And so basically, if we keep on creating list items and we keep running append child, it'll basically populate this empty unordered list like so. So obviously this is the behavior we want. So we'll specify append child, and then the value we give it is this list item lm. And with that, we're able to with that, if I run this, you can see I can input a value, and then you can see that we now have a to-do list, like a very basic to-do list. So obviously we lack one more step, which is clear the input. So this is what I was mentioning earlier. Whenever we whenever we click on the button, I don't want to have to delete the previous input just so that I can create a new task. So to do that, we run this, which is very simple. It's basically input lm.value equals a blank string. So this just means, it's pretty straightforward. We're just setting this to a blank string. So now if I do test and then I click add, it adds the new to-do item, but it also resets the input value. And that's basically it for the simple to-do list. So we can basically create an item, and then we can read like a list of all the items as well. So that's a very simple to-do list. And then so now because it's pretty basic, I think we can still like kick it up a notch. So what I'm going to do is, besides being able to add elements here, I also want to be able to delete elements. So for example, in test, for example, besides this test text, we want to have like a button here beside it, so that when I click on the button, it deletes the test to do item. So and the way to do that is fairly simple as well. So remember earlier when I showed you guys how to create a to do item with this create element code. So we're basically gonna do the same thing with the delete button. So we have two new steps. So obviously create the delete button for to do item, and then we also have to remove to do item when button is clicked. So to create it, same procedure. So delete button equals document dot create element, and then we pass in the element we want to create, which in this case is a button. Then we want to set the text content to be delete, and then this basically creates it, and then we'll also have to append it. So append button to do item. So it's the same story as this. To list element item. So it's the same story as this. If we create the button, it still won't render unless we attach it to an element that's already on the page. So Obviously to do that, we just do list item lm dot append child delete button. And then for this, so yeah, to remove the to-do item when the button is clicked, this is just another event listener. So delete button dot add event listener. So on click, run this function. And then the function is just list item lm dot remove. So remove is a special like method. So as you can see, if I hover over this, it provides documentation. So it just removes the node. So kind of just like removes it from the page, so it doesn't get rendered anymore. And yeah, with that, that's basically all we have to do for the delete functionality. So again, to recap, we create a list item lm, and then after that, we create the delete button. Then for the delete button, we add this event listener so that when we click on it, it removes the list item. Then we add the delete button to the list item. Then we add the list item to the list element. It's kind of like we're nesting elements here. So now if I do this, so test, we now get this test text, and we also get the delete button. Let me add a few more to dos. Yes. Eat. Yeah, this sounds English, so that's a good example. So yeah, so now that we have 4 to dos, if I click on, for example, cigarette inserts, so if I click on delete, you can see it deletes only that item, which is the functionality that we want. So yeah, adding the delete didn't require a lot of work, but then you can see just how much more useful the website is, because a to-do list where you can't delete the items is kind of annoying, right? Because you can't, like, once it's there, you can't remove it. So having a simple to-do list where you can both add and delete items is more useful. And the code we needed to just add that extra functionality is pretty simple. So yeah, now I have a basic to-do list where I can add and delete items. And if you guys follow the code as well, then you can have this to-do list for yourself. Obviously, this to-do list by itself isn't exactly useful, because for one, this is only just on the front end. So if I refresh the page, you can see it resets. So that's where just a little easier for you guys. That's where the backend comes in, so your data can become more persistent. So for example, if I have this to-do list, and then if I refresh the page, those to-do items should still stay there. And then obviously the site doesn't look good, right? Because we only use HTML and JavaScript. I'm not we can actually make this prettier with CSS, but then why I don't want to touch CSS. So yeah, I'll just say it's an experiment for you guys. So yeah, the code is up on GitHub. If you guys want to edit like the CSS or something, feel free to do so, and then share your results in like the Discord. I think it would be really cool to see how each of you guys imagine your own to-do lists. And yeah, for practice, I can suggest you use this site. So this is personally what I've been using. So this is website called Front End Mentor. It's what I've been using to practice. It's what I use to practice everything from vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which is what we just taught you guys over the past 2 days. So it's everything I learned from that to like full stack web dev. So what Front End Mentor is, wait, let me just send it here. Oh, okay. Okay, Mary. No, mine is more specific because it actually goes to the challenges page. Unlike you, it goes to the home page. See, specificity is important, guys. But yeah, so if you go to the challenges page, you can see that you just have a bunch of challenges you can do. So it's ranked by difficulty. Then you can also filter it, because some challenges are like premium, but then most of them are free. So as you can see, you're just provided with like a super simple, or you're provided with like the picture of the output. So for example, this product preview card component, this is what it should look like. And then what you're given is, when you start the challenge, you're given like the assets you need. So you're given the pictures, the font style, the colors, the font sizes you need. But then it's up to you to code it from the ground up. So an example I have is, I hope it's still up. What's a good example so I can look good. I'm just kidding. But yeah, for example here, I did like 20 of these challenges already. Again, it's really good practice to get your hands dirty. So once you submit, Yeah, you can basically see your solution here. Wow, this is 2 years ago. Feel old. Hold on. Okay, sorry. So yeah, if I view this, you can see this is my submission. So this is my solution. The one on the left is my solution. The one on the right is the actual design. So as you can see, it's I some of you may think it's not correct. I just like to say it's zoomed in. So yeah, let's just say it's that. But yeah, again, like it doesn't have to look exactly the same. The bottom line is you're practicing with the um you're practicing with the technologies you're trying to learn. So another good thing I like about front end mentor is it also it basically allows the community to see your results or your solution. So what I usually do is when you submit it, you can see like people from the community can like give you feedback. And oh my gosh, this was 2 years ago. I'm old. I mean, I'm more experienced there. But yeah, so you can see like the community can see your solution and give you feedback as well. So this is something that's really a really good way to learn quickly. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys check out the site. It also gives you like the tech tools that you'll need. So there's some challenges that are this. If I sort again, you can see that most of the beginner challenges are just HTML, CSS. So just this is mainly just focus on copying the look. However, there are some challenges where it's like it adds JavaScript. So through these like in these challenges, you can see, for example, the ones later. You can see there's more JavaScript into it because the website is more dynamic. Um, for example, here, I hope it's visible. Um, oh, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, hopefully this is still up. Preview site. I don't think it's here. Oh, okay. So yeah, this is an example of a website of like a challenge I did like a year ago. Yeah, so you can upload. Yeah, you can. As Ian mentioned earlier, like yesterday, you can upload. You can just publish the site through GitHub because it's just front end, and then yeah, you can yeah, so that other people can view the actual site as well. Yeah, that's basically it. Before I wrap up, I'd like to just give like a quick introduction to like MLSA. So yeah, again the event tonight was mainly organized by like MLSA. So MLSA is the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors program. So what it basically is, it's a program to bring together students from around the world. So these students have a passion for technology and also teaching it, which is why I signed up for it because I have like a passion. I have a passion for technology and teaching, and then MLSA provides me an avenue to um live out those passions. So if you guys this is actually something you guys can also apply for. So if you're interested, you can check out this QR code. Don't worry, this isn't a rickroll again. Not like last time. This is like the actual QR code to the student ambassadors website. If you can't scan the QR code, you can just visit the site through this link. And yeah, right now MLSA is in Cebu, we're kind of a small community. We're only like a handful of MLSAs here because we only start I believe Microsoft only got MLSAs from Cebu like around a year ago. So yeah, we're a pretty small community and we're hoping to like grow some more. So I'm highly encouraging you guys to join. So yeah, be a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Be a force for good. And yeah, it's basically it for um my presentation. If you guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through like Gmail, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And then yeah, there's also an evaluation form for those who are interested. So there's just a quick form for you guys to fill out so that I can get feedback on how to improve events, or if you guys also want to suggest topics for future events, then feel free to do so here. If there's enough demand, then we can definitely organize a workshop for it. So yeah, I believe that's it. Do you guys have any questions? What do you mean not like last? Oh, right. Dang, you weren't there. We had an ultra learning event, and then we had an ultra learning event, and then I placed like a QR code at the end, and then I said it was an evaluation form. It was a rickroll. So yeah, if you know, you know. But yeah, you guys have any questions, clarifications? We have a bit of time before we head to the photo op. Wait, walking with curve. Oh, okay. Yeah. Feel free to ask any question, guys. It can be about JavaScript or MLSA as well, and then I'll try to answer. Wait, there's a question. Wait, someone asked the question. Okay. What are the requirements for MLSA? Actually, it's been a while since, because I applied last year. But then there aren't necessarily any requirements, but they'll tell you when you apply. But from what I remember, I had to submit it's like a multi-step form. So it's like a form where you fill out all your info, and then it's all pretty standard information. Like you can get it easily. I just remember like the hardest thing to get was they require you to film like a 2-minute video of yourself, like introducing yourself and like why. I think the question was something along the lines of like why MLSA should accept you. So that was basically like the hardest thing I had to do. But then it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't hard. It was just like hard compared like um in comparison to like the other requirements. But yeah, in terms of like documents, I don't remember. I don't remember if there were any required documents. I just remember like if there were documents, then they were pretty easy to acquire because I didn't have a hard time with them. Because literally the hardest thing for me was like recording the video. So yeah. Hold on. MLSA creation. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, hold on. Let me stop sharing for a bit. Yeah. We have like a couple more minutes. Let's give like 3 more minutes, I guess, for any questions that people might have.
It can be any question, Ra. Don't worry, guys.
Hmm. Um, where do we submit it? Oh, you can actually submit on the website itself. So once you start the challenge, um, yeah, once you start the challenge, like it'll just show. Actually, let me share screen again. I can show it right now. Same as yesterday's question. What's the tech stack? Google Chrome, Chat GPT, joke. Like in terms of web development, yeah, because that's mainly where my expertise is. I use pretty much the same as Ian because like also Merton, so like MongoDB, but that's the one I learned at first. So MongoDB, Express, React, and then Node. Although in the companies I've worked at, they're like additional stuff. So for example, there's like GraphQL for API. So instead of REST APIs, there's like GraphQL, and then there's also I've also tried working with like Postgres and MySQL. So yeah, don't really stick to a tech stack. Depends on like the project requirements. But I highly recommend you guys pick like a popular tech stack. So for example, Mern, because it's popular for a reason, and for Mern, the reason is it's super easy to learn. So I highly recommend that you guys learn one tech stack first, then become super good at it, and then you can start exploring like other technologies. So for example, instead of using React, you can just remove it and replace it with like Angular or another front end framework. Yeah. Wait, let me share my screen. Window. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna demo it quickly. For example, once you, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start this challenge and then I'm never gonna finish it. So yeah, I'm doing it for you guys. So yeah, if you go to a challenge and say like, oh, I want to do this, you just click on start challenge, and then yeah, here when you start here, you get the starter template, and then again, the starter template is like, as you can see, the stuff. So mainly just the assets you need to accomplish this, along with like a style guide. So the style guide is where it specifies like what font style to use, what colors to use, and then yeah, oh yeah, you can also download the design file if you have money, which I don't. So yeah, the next thing is, oh, I didn't know. Oh, this is kind of new. So I guess it also does this. So yeah, it has the README file. It gives you the instructions, and then use whatever tools you like. Then yeah, start coding. Whoa, this is cool. So yeah, as you can see, once you start the challenge, you can download the starter files, and then once you're ready to submit, you can submit your solution here. Yeah. Um, like I already did, as I mentioned earlier, I already did like a couple of them. So I did like 23 of these challenges. Um, but yeah, um, again, it's a really good way to practice. So there's really no better way, at least in terms of coding. I'd say there's no better way to learn coding than just by actually coding. Okay. Hope that answers your question, by the way. Is there a roadmap that you have? Oh, I'd say personally for me, didn't really have a roadmap. Although Ian suggested one yesterday, roadmap.sh, I believe. Oh yeah, so roadmap.sh is what Ian used. Yeah, thanks, Sam. So yeah, that's basically I think I'm not sure if that's what Ian used, but then that's what he recommends. So I'd also recommend it. But then personally for me, I didn't really use like a roadmap. I kind of just learned HTML. So what I learned first was HTML, CSS because yeah, like to not overload myself because JavaScript was like it's like its own beast. So learn HTML, CSS first so that I don't get information overload. And um I basically did I remember doing front end mentor. So I did front end mentor from the start, right? So I learned HTML, CSS. I did like 10 challenges with them so that I'd be super familiar with it. You don't have to do that many. I think that was kind of overkill as well. Um, but then yeah, after that, once I was comfortable with HTML, CSS, that's when I jumped into like JavaScript projects. So yeah, still on front end mentor. I just did like super simple JavaScript projects through here. I think the intermediate challenges have like the JavaScript integrations into them. So yeah, this is one example. I did the to-do list, so hope it's still alive. Because I deployed some of these in Heroku, which I think some of you have heard, like it's no longer free. So um yeah. This is a challenge hub. Preview site. Wait, is it still showing screen the front end? Okay, it's on Heroku. So yeah, this is not alive anymore. Um, but yeah, this is basically what I created. Yeah, this is literally like a prettier version of what we just practiced earlier. So again, that's why I recommend like you guys try styling it yourselves and then see what you can create and then send it to Discord so that you can share your designs with us. But yeah, HTML, CSS first. Then once I got comfortable with those, learn JavaScript. Once I got comfortable with that, learn React. Then once I got comfortable with that, learn Node, and Express for backend. So I guess the general advice I'd give is don't learn too many things at once. So because it's easy to get overloaded. So what I do is like pick a certain tool, practice with it, like drill down on that tool so that I'm comfortable with it, and then only when I'm comfortable with the tool will I learn a new tool. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's a strict roadmap you have to follow. Just make sure that when you're on the roadmap, like you don't learn everything at once. That's why it's called like a roadmap, because you start from like you progress from start to finish. You don't like do it all in one go. Hope that answers your question. Yeah. Any other questions? I think we have time for like one more. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's no more questions. So let me stop sharing first. So yeah, that's basically it for the open forum. Again, if you guys have any questions you want to ask after, feel free to just message on the Discord. Um, Also check out the web development Discord, like the web development channel, the channel on Discord, because that's where Ian and I post like web dev stuff. So yeah, I guess we can do the photo op, Mary.
Okay. So we're gonna be doing the photo op. So everyone, please turn on your cameras. Don't be shy. Don't be shy, guys. Come on. Let us see your beautiful backgrounds. Oh yeah, Ryan. By the way,
But
uh, uh, Fitz mentioned, our lead wanted like, like the scene, the one where like the, you know what I mean, right? Like,
no,
oh, okay.
no. What are you
Like,
talking about?
like the people. Okay, wait, that sounds weird.
Ah,
Like,
that
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
you
You know
can't
what I
you
mean?
can't change it.
I
You
I
can't,
can't change the background, but like I can do together mode. But like the
but you can't
background,
change the background. I don't know how to
I can't
change
change
the
the
background
background.
as well.
Oh, it's okay. We'll just stick with the basic one. It's fine. So yeah,
Oh
we'll
wait, never
just
mind. I
you
can.
can.
Hold on.
Okay, okay, okay.
Uh,
Because it's really cute.
wait. Let me. Wait, you guys can't see what it is, right? Or wait, let me try changing it. Then
Um,
I think it'll propagate.
yeah.
Let me try.
By the way, guys, what we're talking about is like, oh yeah, that's so cute. Oh my gosh, yes, yes, please. Can we have this? You guys see what we're seeing, right? If you go to view,
You guys
you
see
can
what they're
go
seeing,
to
right? They're
like
not crazy.
together mode. Hey, shut up. You go to together mode, and then like you can see like, oh, this is so cute. This is so adorable. I love it. I love it. Okay,
Okay,
so
turn on your cams, guys.
please turn on your cameras. We'll give people some time, so we'll start the photo op like 31 lang.
31 minutes from now.
Oh, shut shut up, Ryan. Yeah. I still don't forgive you for making me 21.
It's fine. No, it'll be true in a year though.
Yeah, it's kind of
And
true.
then after that, you'll wish it was true.
Okay. There's also a Microsoft. Oh, that's true. That's
That's
true.
a
Double
what's up?
marketing. Double marketing. I like
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely why I picked this. Not because it was Fitz's background. Yo, Fitz is about to go into the nether, man.
It's so cute, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, turn on your cameras. Come on. Alright, it's almost 12:31. Oh, I also like Sam's background. Dude, I just love Minecraft backgrounds, swear. Oh, dude, I love that. I love that. I love that you're showing your code. So cool. Okay, Psalm 31. Alright, so for the first round of
12:31.
pictures, guy, 12, what? 12:31. So for the first round of photos, guy, I'm just gonna have it in like to the large screen thing. So, and then afterwards, I'll go back to the together view. Okay, guys. So ready your poses in three. Wait. Psalm 31. Oh, what? Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Hold on. Okay. Can everyone do the GDSC pose? Yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Alright. I'm gonna take a photo in the together mode. Yeah. Dude, I really love this. It's so cute. Looks so wholesome. It's like it's like we're in a classroom. It's so cute, Jin. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more. One last. Let's GDSC pose again, please. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the event. I hope
Thanks,
all of you
guys.
guys learned a lot. And thank you so much, Bri, for that amazing talk as well. All of the details and the recording will be found in the Discord, so please come check it out, guys. And yeah, so
and also tune into our patron for like our next workshops.
yeah,
We're gonna be having like one a week until December, so that
yeah.
we can teach you guys what dubbing. Yeah.
Just stay
Thank you.
tuned in all your social medias and also in the Discord server, of course. All right, thank you so much, guys, for attending.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Localized Q&A.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you for attending.
I'll be ending the meet, by the way. So.
All right, bye bye.